You can save paths that you create inside of Photoshop right to Illustrator so that you can continue working. Now, everybody doesn't use Adobe Illustrator to draw. Now, I personally prefer to draw in Illustrator and then send those paths to Photoshop. But let me show you how you can use Photoshop to create vector artwork to send to Illustrator. I'm going to use this tool right here, located under our shapes, and I'm going to choose the Custom Shape tool. Then what I'm going to do is make sure that this guy is in the middle. This will make sure that any shape we draw, when we choose it from here, is going to be an actual path and not a shape layer. A shape layer is pretty much a shape that has a mask so that we can see the shape through a color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose something kind of cool. Let's see here. I grab this guy here, and I'm going to hit escape to get rid of that dialog box, and I'm going to draw this shape like so. Then I'm going to go to my direct selection tool and show you that when I click on it, it is an editable path, just like you would draw in Illustrator. Now if I want to move this path in Photoshop, I need to use the path selection tool instead. Then I can click on my path and then reposition it on my page. So once again, with direct selection, I can click on this path and I can manipulate this shape if need be. So I'm just going to go ahead and do something like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and then I'm going to go to Export Paths to Illustrator. And then on my desktop, what I'll do is I'll just call this Shape, just for now. And by default, you see that the path is going to be saved as a work path. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to go to my desktop so I can show you the path. As you see here, it says shape.ai, which stands for Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to now go to Illustrator, which is already open. And I'm going to go to File, Open. Then I'll navigate to my desktop once the dialog box opens for me. I'll click on shape.ai, and then I will say Open. Now it's going to say Convert to Artboards, and I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. Then you'll see that I have the shape in there. And now of course you don't see it at first because it's kind of hidden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit, or actually quite a bit, and show you how you can actually see this shape without having to select it. You can always go to the View menu and choose Outline Mode to see your shape. Then what you can do is either press Command or Control A to select all, or simply, now that you can see it, draw a marquee around it. Then what I would do is give it a stroke. So down here in Illustrator, we can hit X to bring the stroke to the foreground, and we can give this stroke a color. So I'm going to go to my swatches here, and I'll give it, let's see here, let me just, instead of going to my swatches, let me just open up a swatch category. I'll choose metal, and I'll give it a gray color. There we go. And there I can go back to preview mode, and now my path has a metal fill. What I could do at this point is grab my direct selection tool, and as you see, these tools have different locations in Illustrator. And I can click on my path, and I can continue to manipulate it. So that is how you can create a path inside of Photoshop and then export it out so that you can use it inside of Illustrator. All you have to do is give it a stroke so you can see it. Of course, you can always get rid of the stroke again by clicking this icon if you don't want to see it at all. That way you can press X on your keyboard and just give it a fill color.